lines just as good as any NBA Finals. All right, don't take my word for it. Listen to how the Lakers are talking about these Nuggets.
We already know that monster in the Rocky Mountain. The fewer teams, the tougher the matchups, the more skilled the players. Talking about two-time MVP with a well-balanced squad, hungry. We're gonna have our work cut out for us, but they got to guard us too.
They've been the number one team in the West for a reason, and they've played exceptional basketball all year. And we're going with the utmost respect for their ball club.
Do you guys feel like you're playing with house money at this point?
Nah. As Vander will say, nah. We're trying to win every hand.
In a series that features LeBron James for the first time that I can remember, right? All eyes, not necessarily on the NBA's all-time leading scorer. In fact, we go, okay, what's the marquee matchup? It's circled around Anthony Davis and Nikola Jokic. I got that right?
You got it right. How about that? I mean, we're talking about two premier big men, both multi-talented, skilled. This is the first time in these playoffs they're going to play against an equally talented big man, and just in terms of what they can how they can impact the game. Joker, obviously, if you look at his offensive bag, the passing, the shooting from the outside, obviously the offensive rebounds and tapbacks, that's really a very underrated part of his game, by the way, and just really making his teammates better. Anthony Davis against the Warriors and the Grizzlies, impacting both rims defensively, intimidating, blocking shots, and also that mid-range jumper that the other team has to respect. So when you look at these two big men, they're just playing outstanding basketball. They have to respect each other. I think the question is, which one of these guys are going to get in foul trouble? Because then it's a pretty big drop-off. They really don't have a backup center, and this playoff series could be decided upon who stays on the floor and who's going to be effective between Anthony Davis and Nikola Jokic.
You also have an observation about LeBron James, right, that goes, when he gets this deep into the conference finals, what happens?
He punches his ticket. I mean, you talk about this guy, he hasn't lost a conference final in about a dozen years. So, I mean, look, he's hungry for that fifth NBA title. It gets him that much closer to Michael Jordan. And again, with LeBron James and how he can impact games, age 38, 20th year in the NBA, we really didn't see much drop-off at all between his regular season, which was very good, and this postseason.
He said the last time he lost the conference finals, a dozen years. I got 14, my man.
Okay.
2009, 2023. So we're showing some respect to one LeBron James.
By State Farm. LeBron James. Look away, dish to Rui Hachimura. And the Lakers were having fun at that point. They knew it.
They knew it, got some good stops. Splash Brothers couldn't get it going, and LeBron just reminds us how good he is.
Amazing. His 20th season, that was one of his 9 assists to go with 30 points and 9 rebounds as well. And now the Lakers get the top-seeded Denver Nuggets starting on Tuesday night in the Mile High for Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. What are your early thoughts on that series?
Early thoughts, I think it's going to be a great series. Looking forward to seeing Jokic match up against Anthony Davis. I actually like Denver in this series. I think with the way they move the ball and they move Jokic all around, it could be very problematic for this Lakers defense. But the Lakers defense is very stout as well.
Lakers defense, you showed us something this past series. The question is now, do you have enough big bodies to throw at the Joker?
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon and KCP, LeBron James is a handful even at his age.
Yep.
So you're going to mix things up with LeBron. And outside of that, I agree with you. The way the Nuggets cut and the way the Joker shares their basketball, Darvin Ham, you're going to have to dig deep with the defensive schemes.
Really interesting matchups, and as good as the Laker defense is, not that they can't deal with Denver, but that's a little bit of a different animal.
Different. Anytime you have a big guy that can pick you apart like a point guard, and you don't have enough bigs like you had in the bubble when you had Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee to throw at the Joker, that's going to be a tall task.
And conversely, it seems to me if Jokic defensively is matched up on Anthony Davis, and he will be at some points for sure, but if he's matched up on him a lot, then the Lakers have to get AD to be a scorer in this series.
Yeah, AD is going to have to look to match Jokic as far as offensively. We know he's not going to get the ball as much, but still he has to go out there. When he gets his opportunity, he has to look to shoot, be aggressive. really make them work. Because the biggest thing is you understand Jokic has so much to do on the other end. They can work defensively and see what he can do. Put him in every pick and roll, and then at the same time, when you're not doing that, give AD the ball on the block.
Should be fascinating, and that'll start on Tuesday night, and that'll wrap up Playoff Central Live at.
Game time. Game time. Game time. Game time. Yeah, they all better level up. Whole squad better level up. Cause it's time that we level up. Yeah, we all need to level up. Gotta make sure my money get double up. So I think it's time that I run it up. If anybody think I did enough, tell them keep watching cause I'm about to level up.
Welcome to Game Time, presented by State Farm. Chris Miles here with Sean Powell. Oh, it's time for the conference finals. Miami Heat have advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Western Conference Finals all set up between the Denver Nuggets, Los Angeles Lakers. So there remains one spot left in the NBA's Final Four. Game 7 on Sunday between the 76ers and the Celtics. Let's take a look back and how we got here. James Harden began the playoffs with a playoff career high, tying it with 45 in Game 1, with Joel Embiid still sidelined, helped the 76ers jump out to a 1-0 series lead. In Game 2, Embiid's return after missing the previous 2 playoff games, spoiled by Jaylen Brown, who led the way with 25 points, the game where Jason Tatum scored just 7 points. Game 3, Tatum and Brown returned to form. The duo combined to score 50 points and take a 2-1 series lead. It was Game 4 that James Harden came to the rescue again. For the second time in this series, Harden scored over 40 points. The 76ers evened out the series at 2 games apiece. Game 5, the newly crowned MVP, Joel Embiid, made his presence felt, scoring 33 points with 4 outstanding blocks, pushing the Celtics to the brink of elimination. When facing elimination, Jason Tatum started Game 6 1 for 14 from the field, but scored 16 points in the fourth quarter to force a Game 7. Here's Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla on his team and their experience in Game 7s.
We know how to win easy, and we know how to battle to the death. In fights and in battles and whatever you're in, the details, the focus, the execution are important. And I think that's the stuff is, what are all those things that when your backs are against the wall that you have to rely on? And you got to rely on each other. You have to rely on your execution. And it's a mindset.
It's an elimination game for both teams. So that's the beauty of it. It's an even 0-0 series. One win is all you need, and it's going to come down to, like I said, who wants it more. It's Frazier and Ali. It's going to be a bloodfest.
It's going to be a war, and one thing I will say that is, if I have to go to war on the road, Game 7 in Boston, I would want to go with this group. I know we got some fighters. I know we got some resilient guys, and I'm ready to get it on.
Sean, there's more at stake for both of these teams than advancing to the conference finals, right? You're of the mindset that the team that wins stays together next season, moves forward, right? The team that loses, well, it's time to tear some things down.
Well, if you're talking about reputations on the line and also jobs, you can start with Doc Rivers. He's 6-9 all-time in Game 7s. His 9 losses is the most by any coach in NBA history. Also, he lost his last 4 Game 7s. I mean, look, he's had some tough outings with the Clippers and also with the Sixers. And need I not remind you that Philadelphia is a very tough town. I don't think they can really cope with another Game 7 loss, particularly with Joel Embiid and James Harden on the team. Speaking of Harden, he has an option for next year. Does he opt in if the Sixers lose this series? Does he opt out? Even if he decides to opt in, do the Sixers give him a contract extension? So again, we're talking about reputations and jobs on the line for Philadelphia. And one more thing, Joel Embiid, does he get disgruntled if they lose this series and ask out? I'm not so sure, but everything's on the table with Philadelphia.
Well, the flip side of that, what about the Boston Celtics?
I don't think there'll be a major shakeup, with the exception of maybe Jaylen Brown. He's up for a contract extension. Number one, do they give it to him? Do they feel that that's a huge price to keep, both of those 2 stars, Tatum and Brown, together, and they don't have an NBA championship to show for it? But you're talking about 2 players in their prime. And Jaylen Brown, by the way, you make an all-NBA team this year, very good at both ends of the floor. And again, this is a guy whose best years are probably ahead of him. It's going to be a big decision, not only for Jaylen Brown, but for the Celtics.
Well, we know 2 guys who have been here before at this stage and won it all. The Los Angeles Lakers with Anthony Davis and LeBron James.